Welcome back, Canada, and we are in studio again, bringing you the news. This week on Uninterrupted, we have, well, the story that we have to cover, like, I don't know, is this every month, few months, every couple weeks? Is the federal government sending your tax dollars down the pathway that leads into the hands of terrorists? Probably, but we'll get into the details. Also, Erin O'Toole is true. He's blue, he's a conservative, and he is the toughest guy in the world on China, except for the fact that he is having some Chinese CCP-related people on his team giving him money. Other than that, he's totally tough on China. Other than working with them, taking money from them, and probably capitulating to them eventually, he is the toughest answer you have on China. If you discount not being tough on China in any way. All right, then we have the story that I guess we have to talk about because Kamala Harris is the new VP pick. We'll look at the time that Tulsi Gabbard literally destroyed her life. Then we have Catherine McKenna, our so strong and proud and feminist infrastructure minister. She wants to make calling her mean names like Climate Barbie illegal because the real scandal around her is people say mean things, not the fact that she misplaced $5 billion. Hey, you say $5 billion, I say feminism or something. Then finally, if we have time, we'll go over why I agree with Linda Sarsour. Okay. I know it's a bit much to get in. Let's get into the top story. So, everyone knows that Islamic Relief Worldwide and me are close and personal friends for me covering their terrorism funding scandals. So, a new person has started talking about this. So, we have an article coming out in the Jerusalem Post. Let's see what the Jerusalem Post is saying about Islamic Relief Worldwide. Now, the Jerusalem Post is talking about the fact that, hey, is Canada sending money to an organization with ties to Hamas? Now, what would that be? That would be Islamic Relief Worldwide. Now, let's get into, that's the Jerusalem Post, that's a foreign government talking about it. What are Canadian organizations saying about it? So here we have the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. So let's bring up Friends of Simon Wiesenthal. They call on Canada to monitor Beirut relief funds distributed to group with alleged Hamas ties. All right, let's read what Friends of Simon Wiesenthal have to say right here, and then I'll explain what the actual story going on here is. Statement from Simon Wiesenthal Center. Toronto, August 10th, 2020. Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center is calling on the Canadian government to monitor the expenditure of public money allocated to Islamic Relief, which is the part of the humanitarian coalition of charities to assist with the Beirut disaster relief due to its alleged ties with the terror group Hamas and its history of anti-Semitism. All right, they want to say, according to Global Affairs Canada, the government is matching every dollar donated to the coalition of charities through its Lebanon Matching Fund, which will provide $2 million to the humanitarian coalition, which in turn allocate funds to its members based on criteria such as their capacity and presence in the afflicted region. In a letter sent to Minister of Foreign Affairs Francois Philippe Champagne and Minister of International Development Katrina Gould, Friends of Simon Wiesenthal, Director of Campaign Against Anti-Semitism Jamie Roberts, wrote, "For a number of years, Islamic Relief has faced allegations from Germany, Israel, the UAE, as well as other countries and major global institutions, we'll get into those soon, that the organization has ties to the extremists and or terrorist groups including Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. There also exists extensive evidence of extremism and anti-Semitism on the part of Islamic Relief global leadership, highlighted most recently by the comments made by Islamic Relief Worldwide Director Hashmet Khalifa, who referred to Jews in a Facebook post as the grandchildren of monkeys and pigs. We mourn the tragic disaster that took place in Beirut last week and the dozens of innocent lives lost. We are very proud of the ongoing Canadian effort, humanitarian, blah, 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 Friends of Simon Wiesenthal. Okay, so that's the thing. Now, we have Friends of Simon Wiesenthal, a historically useless and afraid of their own shadow organization. Okay, so scared of basically their own shadow. Now they're coming out saying the government is sending money down a pathway that leads to the terrorist group Hamas. All right, you cannot do that. You cannot send money in Canada down, you can't send it down a pathway that leads to terrorists, all right? This is what we call the Dawson decision, okay? You cannot give $10 to Al-Qaeda, even if they say this is part of our swing set development fund. So you can't give $10 to Al-Qaeda to build a swing set in, Yemen, because that $10 that you're giving to Al-Qaeda for the swing set is $10 that they won't have to then use, that they can then use to buy bombs and guns and kill Canadian soldiers or Western people, okay? So you cannot send money that goes down the pathway you know leads to terrorist groups. Now in Canada, Hamas is a listed terrorist group for their hard-line, let's kill all the Jews and then establish a global caliphate and kill everyone else stance. Now, I think that's reasonable. So the allegations actually, Islamic Relief Worldwide, the parent organization, according to our allies, Israel and the United Arab Emirates, they call Islamic Relief Worldwide a terrorist organization. Not my words, UAE and Israel's. Now, Germany also raised concerns about them. Another country is Bangladesh. Bangladesh, another Muslim majority country. They don't let Islamic Relief Worldwide into the refugee camps of the Rohingya. So you might have heard the Rohingya crisis, the Muslims there needing to be evacuated. A lot of them are in Bangladesh, a majority Muslim country. There's this wonderful organization called Islamic Relief Worldwide, which is offering to give them money and go into these relief camps. But the government of Bangladesh says no because of their quoted concerns of extremism from Islamic Relief Worldwide. Essentially, they're afraid that the free money isn't free, it comes with the cost of 20 years down the road, there might be some radicals coming out of that camp, so they don't do business with Islamic Relief Worldwide. Other things, HSBC Bank in the UK would not work with Islamic Relief Worldwide because of extremism concerns. By the way, that's the bank that worked with the cartels. So when they say, yeah, cartels, whatever, but these guys, you know, my favorite though is UBS Bank in Switzerland. When a Swiss bank says, you know what, we're not going to take their money, maybe we should pay attention. So this is all Islamic Relief Worldwide. Then that brings us to Islamic Relief Canada, which some people say are linked for some reasons we're getting into. But don't worry, Erin O'Toole is on the case. Erin O'Toole has met with Islamic Relief Canada, he's met with Islamic Relief Worldwide, he knows about all these allegations, he's reviewed the file, but Erin O'Toole says these are two completely separate organizations, nothing to do with one another. Now, minor problem, actually a couple major problems. One, let's bring up this from the Board of Directors of Islamic Relief Canada. You can play this game along yourself. So look at the list of who is the Board of Directors head. Let's bring it up here. Is he on the thing? Okay, boom, Hani Albana. So here he is, Board of Directors, and you can see founder of Islamic Relief. So we could take him away, put my face back on. So you can go there, Board of Directors. The chairman of the Board of Directors is a man named Hani Albana. And as you can see there, it clearly says he is the founder, and you can find it in the own Islamic, he's the founder of Islamic Relief Worldwide. He's the founder. He currently co-founder and heads Islamic Relief Worldwide. So the chair of the Board of Directors of Islamic Relief Canada is also the founder and the person who operates Islamic Relief Worldwide. It's the same person who heads both of them, but they're unrelated. Totally unrelated, guys. Erin O'Toole knows best. Now, can we pull up the chart of how much money they send to each other each year? Do we have that with us? Oh, yes. See, this is just how unrelated they are. See all this money? See all these millions of dollars they're giving to each other? So unrelated. Why would anyone think there's a relation between an organization like Islamic Relief Worldwide, an organization like Islamic Relief Canada, which use the same logo, have the same guy running them, and send each other tens of millions of dollars a year? How could anyone possibly think they're related? Don't worry, Erin O'Toole is on the case. Now, if you do not believe Erin O'Toole, as I'm suspect to do from time to time, you would say, hey, wait a minute. According to Canadian law, if our allies are right, and Islamic Relief Worldwide is in fact sending some of that money to Hamas, which our allies allege they do, then maybe you're not allowed to give government money. Again, we give tens of millions of dollars. There were 7 identified programs. This Lebanon Relief Fund makes the 8th. Of tens of millions of dollars through now 8 government programs that have gone to Islamic Relief Canada, sending them to Islamic Relief Worldwide, which we have concerns of extremism from many different experts, many different countries, and what else? Banks. So this clearly violates the Dawson decision, if this is true. Now, who's going to look into this, right? Is it the conservative government? Are they going to look into it? Is it liberal government? The liberal government's currently just taking your money and just, Hamas, great. Hezbollah, have fun. What could go wrong? Just throwing it down a pathway that leads towards Islamic Relief. Is the Conservative Party going to fix this? Right? You would think this would be one of those Conservative Party values. Hey, we believe in fiscal responsibility. We're the government that believes in protecting your dollars. Now, We can debate over, what should tax dollars be spent on? Should we build a road up north to connect to whatever so people can, get toys for Christmas? Whatever. What I think is pretty well understood in the Conservative Party is I think most people, if you would go to the Conservative Party meeting, say, should our tax dollars be used to build hospitals? Sure. Should they be used to fund international terrorist organizations? No. I think that's a pretty easy no. Now, and again, not every Islamic organization has terrorism ties. I can, listen, if you're in the government, call me. We know you have my number, right? You can call me, and I can just tell you straight up, hey, we want to give tens of millions of dollars to this group called Al-Qaeda. Can we give to Al-Qaeda? I would say no. That's a terrorist organization. You'd be like, okay, we want to give money to the Muslim Brotherhood. No, that's an extremist organization. And we're going to circle back to that. Isn't it interesting that Friends of Simon Wiesenthal talked about Islamic Relief Canada and their links to the Muslim Brotherhood? Interesting. I wonder if there's anyone on the board of directors of Islamic Relief Canada who runs a mosque that he says follows the teachings of the Muslim Brotherhood. I guess we'll never know unless anyone has Google. That would be the only way we could find this out. So let's circle back here. What do we have here? For the last 2 years, people have been raising this question about Islamic Relief Worldwide, Islamic Relief Canada. Islamic Relief Canada filed lawsuits against the people who brought up these questions, most prominently being national security expert Tom Quiggin. They sued him for $2.5 million because he simply filed a report with the RCMP. That report had Islamic Relief Canada's financial statements, Islamic Relief Worldwide's own financial statements, public government records, from Canada, Germany, bank records, corporate records. There was no opinion. He simply just say, hey, what's all this information here? And filed it with the RCMP. And they sued him for $2.5 million. Now, if you remember, when I asked, hey, why is Erin O'Toole silent on this? And I said, here's why Erin O'Toole might not want to talk about Islamic Relief Canada. I got hit with a $2.5 million lawsuit. So is it safe to say that maybe something is going on with the government of Canada, political correctness, and the Islamic Relief file? Is that a question? Can we ask that question? Should we vet the organizations that we send money to? Listen, I get it. The Beirut blast. I'm one of the few people that actually covered Lebanon on my show, right? We should help them, right? Clearly Hezbollah, right? But the problem is, what happened in Lebanon is Hezbollah took over the country. Now, we talked about, trickle down since 1982 and Iran coming in, the Ayatollah basically building a Shiite militia, and slowly they've been able to, basically, the new government that came in January was very Hezbollah sympathetic. And what happens when you get into bed with terrorist organizations? Well, terrorist organizations like to do terrorism. And one of the things they'll do is they'll take bombs, like tons of ammonium nitrate, and store them to use against civilians. Now, terrorists aren't the biggest on building codes and safety regulations, as they tend to go boom a lot. Now, what do you think happens when you get in bed with terrorists? They store tons of ammonium nitrate, and boom. So the Lebanon disaster, which is tragic, happened because we were pretty soft and we just let governments get in bed with terrorist organizations. So the money going to the Lebanese government was being siphoned off by Hezbollah. They ended up buying lots of ammonium nitrate. They stored them at a dock, and then it went kablamo. Now, so my point is, do we just want to blindly throw lots of money at Lebanon, considering the government resigned there, Hezbollah's active, Hassan Nasrallah is probably the biggest power player right now, right? Are we just going to throw money at a mob of people? Again, if you're going to be giving money to Lebanon, isn't it the kind thing to do just to spend, 5 minutes, vet the organization, see, does this organization have ties to terrorism? Simply, just Google, it's pretty easy, you can find whatever. We're about to give to the blah, 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 whatever. Are they connected to terrorism or Muslim Brotherhood? If it's yes, don't give them money. If it's no, give them money. This is my How to Run Canada by Not Financing Terrorism 101 course. So that is our top story. Now, if you like this show and you want to support it, you can click one of the links for fun. You can fund the GoFundMe to say, hey, shouldn't we be able to talk about these questions openly? That would be nice. You can pay, you know the drill. You can click the thing and just throw bags of money at me because you like my face and my voice. Okay. Moving on to story number 2, China. So let's bring up this story from the National Telegraph. We have Erin O'Toole and his political entryism with China. Yes, Erin O'Toole. Now, I have been told by a lot of people that Erin O'Toole is a true blue conservative. And there is no way that anyone could be stronger on China than Erin O'Toole, right? This has even been the excuse I've been given as to why all this Islamic Relief stuff doesn't even matter. It's because Erin O'Toole, he will do something about China. Like what? Cooperate with them? Okay, so here we have Erin O'Toole, and I highly suggest you read this article. I'll post a link to it as well. Now, here we have, and there's lots of evidence inside the article. You can see there's statements in here, there's photographs, there's connections to political entryism, Diamond Jubilee medals that are basically bought by Chinese businessmen, people. The National Post is connected to the CCP, financing people on Erin O'Toole's campaign. Erin O'Toole's Chinese outreach, to run the Chinese outreach of, the guy running Erin O'Toole's Chinese outreach program seems to have some connections to the CCP. Can we talk about this? Can we talk about these connections to Erin O'Toole? Now, I've been told by Erin O'Toole himself, I was in the room, I was in there during the debate, Erin O'Toole loves debates because he wins debates. So let's see a question you can ask Erin O'Toole. So if a National Telegraph journalist, let's bring this up, were to ask Erin O'Toole to sort of clarify his position on, oh, well, that blocked. You just blocked him. Uh-oh. Do we have the tweet that he got blocked for? Let's bring that one up first. It doesn't matter. Oh, don't worry, new studio. Actually, no studio. Who are we, where are we? Yes, here we are. Simply asking Erin O'Toole the question, hey, Erin O'Toole, why is this guy in your campaign? Kablamo, blocked. That's how we work, right? This is how Erin O'Toole works. But don't worry, Erin O'Toole wins debate. So we can bring that all the way. All right, why are we bringing this up? Okay. I've had a lot of conversations with, what do you call it, useless rich cowards. I don't, what's the term for that in English and oh, this is so embarrassing. It's my show. What do you call them? Insiders, useful idiots? No. Oh, vaunted community leaders. Sorry, I've been talking with vaunted community leaders about Erin O'Toole, and I've shown them the files. They've seen what I've seen, and we'll lay it out. And you can go to leaders in the Jewish community. You can lay out. Okay, guys. Here's all these files on Islamic Relief. Here's where they're openly Muslim Brotherhood. Here's their leaders saying things like, let's kill all the Jews, Christians, and Shiite Muslims too, right? Kill them, like Islamic Relief people. All right, so we have that. Then I'll show them, okay, here's their financial statements. Okay, here's Erin O'Toole saying he knows Israel declares them a terrorist organization, but here's him still meeting them. Oh, and here's his connections to all of this. And I've seen literal Jews, rich cowards, community leaders, Jewish community leaders, So I saw a bunch of rich, useless cowards look at the evidence, go, okay, I see, I understand how supporting people who give money to Hamas and say killing the Jews is bad, but I have been reassured by multiple useless rich cowards, community leaders, that as soon as Erin O'Toole becomes leader, all of this just goes away. He's just doing this to get elected. You don't understand politics, okay? You're not a community leader. All right? You don't, go to useless political dinners for thousands of dollars, okay? So you don't know. Yes, this looks bad. And we can all agree that, hey, this hard evidence you're showing me, yeah, this looks bad. And yes, killing the Jews, killing the Christians and the Shiite Muslims, yeah, that's bad. As a Christian community leader, as a Jewish community leader, I don't want us all to die. That's bad. But don't worry, when Erin O'Toole becomes leader, all of this just goes away. His moral character just kicks into overdrive. He's going to kick out all the political entryists. This is just his master plan, guys. It's his master plan. His master plan is he's going to stop foreign extremist ideologies by taking money from them and cooperating with them. And then when he becomes leader, he'll stop. Just abruptly stop. And there'll be no consequences, and then everyone will just say, you know what, Erin O'Toole is right, and they'll just walk away. They'll just walk away and realize, you know what, Canada, oh, we tried, but Erin O'Toole said no. Okay. Now, if you think that's ridiculous, because it's patently ridiculous, welcome to my life. Welcome to my life of trying to explain that, you know what, I've been saying this for 2 years now. Do you really think Erin O'Toole, as you can see, pictured by the tool, do you think that Erin O'Toole will look, you think he will look at the Islamic Relief file and say, you know what, political entryism from Muslim Brotherhood people and front groups, you know, that's fine. But don't worry, that's the guy who's going to stop the Chinese. He'll stop the Chinese. The guy who looks at the Muslim Brotherhood and says, he's the one who will put his foot down on China. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Guys, if they're taking money from one foreign extremist ideology, they're going to be taking money from all of them. You might as well put a for sale sign on Erin O'Toole, just staple it to his head. You know, how much, you know, just, you know, Khalistanis, Islamists, communists, you know, just the price range for each one, okay? How much it's going to cost, how many votes you need to promise Erin O'Toole, and it's not like Erin O'Toole is the only one, all right? It's not fair for me to just say this is an Erin O'Toole problem. Now, my gripe with Erin O'Toole is he's the red Tory, and he's pretending to be this blue Tory. He is pretending to be this great defender of Canada, and he's going to stand up to China, and like, again, he's not going to stand up to China. He'll make some noise. Do you really think the Chinese government's going to really care if Erin O'Toole just makes some noise, right? If Erin O'Toole is really going to stand up to China right now, he'd be talking about the Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. He'd be making videos. He'd be going after them in the UN. But instead, he's doing exactly what the Chinese want him to do, in the sense that he's playing the true blue conservative. I'll be tough on China. I'll be tough on China. And I guarantee you, oh, this will probably get me in legal trouble, but it's me, so let's do it anyway. Prediction time. Prediction time, not real life, some legal disclaimer. Daniel's lawyers say, I don't exist, something, something, something. I'm saying that what you'll likely get from Erin O'Toole or any conservative cooperating with them is sort of a fake hard on China. So you'll get someone to say, yeah, we got to do something and trade and trade and trade, and they'll crack down on some Chinese people. And what they'll do is they'll crack down on the dissidents or the people that need internal colleague within the Chinese party. So basically, high-level communists, people will say, you know what, this guy, he's becoming a bit of a problem. So we'll give you this guy, you can arrest him, and then you can play the, oh, I'm so tough on China card, as long as you're really not that tough, right? You can crack down on the people we want you to crack down on, and then for the rest of it, you know, play by our rules. That's my prediction. I can't guarantee you, because who knows how much trouble I'll get into. Okay, now, do I have anything else to add on the China file? Other than, like, I'm just gonna restate my beliefs on China is Justin Trudeau could be doing so much good right now in the world. Like, Justin Trudeau could really actually lead the fight internationally about China. Because what is Justin Trudeau good at? Justin Trudeau is great at calling everyone Islamophobic and then crying on an international stage. Now you might say, hey, how does that help anything if the leader of your country is really good at crying about Islamophobia? I will tell you. See, Justin Trudeau likes to play a global citizen. He's a global citizen. Why can't we get Justin Trudeau to literally go to the UN, call China Islamophobic for the millions of Muslims they have in literal concentration camps, and then cry? That would go viral. That would do something. I'm calling on the Prime Minister to get up on stage and start crying like a little girl in front of the entire world, and you can actually, you know, do something productive. Cry your eyes out. Have fun. All right. Let us move on to our next story, which is the love of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris 2020. So, oh yes, we can sniff victory. Joe and Kamala, sniffing victory 2020. That's good. Okay, we can take them off because that's creepy. All right, so I guess sniff victory is not the best thing they came up with. Here we have the actual title from San Francisco over Kamala Harris's introduction. Let's bring up the San Francisco thing. Yes. Oh, yes. Mayor Willie says he was blown away by Kamala Harris. Again, Mayor Willie Brown says he was blown away by Kamala Harris. And considering your children might be watching, I'm not going to explain that and how she started her political career, but you're just going to have to infer all the jokes for yourself right there. Okay, let's move off the screen before I get an FCC complaint. Now, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's vice presidential pick, and we'll explain it first. But first, let's show Tulsi Gabbard. Let's show the moment Tulsi Gabbard actually ripped Kamala Harris's heart out of her chest and destroyed her political career. Do we have that clip? Let's roll it.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Okay, so that's just Tulsi Gabbard rooting Kamala Harris's career. Now, if you want to watch that debate, this is the same debate where Kamala Harris goes after Joe Biden for his views on mandatory busing, and then where she essentially calls Joe Biden a racist. So here are the attack lines that Trump has on Kamala via Biden. All right, so starting number one, Kamala Harris calls Joe Biden a racist and cooperating with segregationists, basically accused Joe Biden saying that the people you worked with in the Senate in the 70s were the ones who didn't want me to go to school and didn't want me here. So Joe Biden basically tried to stop Kamala Harris's political career before it even got started, right? That was the accusation. We'll break down the busing thing after. Right, so Kamala calls Joe a racist. Interesting VP pick. There's also the time that Kamala Harris said she believed Tara Reade, who was Joe Biden's accuser. If you remember, Joe Biden had a sexual assault scandal a while ago. It did not get nearly as much coverage as the Kavanaugh sexual assault allegations, even though there was corroborating evidence to back up the accuser's story. Now, because Kamala Harris was so aggressive on Brett Kavanaugh, it opened up her the attack to every other sort of. Was basically forced into backing sort of every Me Too allegation there was. So this is going to really be a problem for Kamala Harris, and I'll talk about this now because it really goes into what Tulsi Gabbard accused her of. And here's something where I actually think there's people right and left can kind of come together on. It's overly vicious prosecution is a problem. So we have problems where prosecutors will sort of ignore evidence, continue to prosecute to up their rates of prosecution. It's a bigger problem in the States because prosecutors are elected and DAs are elected, so you have to like buff your numbers and look really tough for the voting base, and I get that. And you can make an argument as a Black Lives Matter activist, and I think it's a legitimate argument that this type of these type of tactics have been disproportionately applied to black people and have ruined many lives. That's true. So here we have Tulsi Gabbard accusing Kamala Harris of withholding evidence that would have vindicated a man on death row until she was forced to put it forward. Because again, losing anyone going free as a prosecutor looks bad, and it's a fault in the system. Now, I think it would be an amazing thing. This is where Donald Trump can actually make a big appeal to the black community here on criminal justice reform and sort of get everyone on the same page. This is kind of what the Russia hoax was. Right? And the reason why it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way is people saw in the Russia hoax that what they were doing was sort of malicious prosecution, right? So the Michael Flynn case, right? The fact that they didn't get him on any of the initial things he was charged on, instead they got him for fibbing to the FBI on an interview, right? That's prosecutorial overreach. The Roger Stone thing, again, they opened up the investigation into Roger Stone, I think 3 months after they already cleared, and the FBI already knew there was no collusion on Russia. But again, they got into some sort of perjury trap and they maliciously prosecuted him, right? This is the problem that I think a lot of criminal justice people have with the criminal justice system. That is valid, all right? You get arrested because, you're black and you're associated and some of your friends might have been involved in something, but you didn't really do anything and you kind of got charged with racketeering. Let's make up a charge. Assault, robbery, who cares, right? They can't actually prove you did the robbery, but because the prosecutor needs to get you, they then say, okay, you either lied under oath here or did you have drugs on you? And they try and get you on some sort of lesser possession charge so they can say, hey, we arrested this guy and we convicted him, right? Our conviction rate is 97%. And that destroys a lot of families. And a lot of people have the right to feel pretty pissed off, quite frankly, if your father, your brother, your sister, whoever it was charged with a crime. The initial charge is completely thrown out because you're completely innocent in that, but you get convicted on some sort of ancillary charge just so the prosecutor can say, haha, look, I got him, right? So that's an interesting thing. And that was the entire Russia collusion story. That was all of it. It's everything initially charged in the Russia collusion story None of it was true, and all the charges sort of come from ancillary sort of, you were, someone, lied under oath, lied to Congress, accessory to lying, just nonsense, BS, overstretches. And this is where, this is how, 7 people in Trump's administration pleaded guilty to the Russia collusion story. Therefore, when Republicans say it wasn't true, they're lying. It's like, well, none of them actually were found guilty of the thing they were originally charged with. They were all just found guilty of, silly perjury charges and then basically prosecuted by partisan hacks. Okay. So we're going to break down, that's the Kamala Harris's problem. That's like Kamala Harris's biggest problem is Kamala Harris is a narc. And that's what Tulsi Gabbard got her on, right? She was narking, right? She actually put, good luck with the Black Lives Matter abolish the police fund voting for a prosecutor. Now, they'll just play the Kamala Harris is the first African-American whatever to ever, be sniffed by Joe Biden or whatever you want to say her qualifications are. But honestly, one of her problems is she's a narc. Now, is there anything wrong with lawyers or cops inherently? No. The world would be best with, less lawyers, but we are where we are. So we have that. Now, we also have Kamala Harris calling Joe Biden a racist and a rapist. So Kamala Harris has come out and believes the accuser against Joe Biden. And to be fair to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris's believing your story isn't the greatest endorsement. Let's all remember the time that Kamala Harris spearheaded the Jussie Smollett case. If you remember Jussie Smollett, he was the one who was attacked by 2 black men he paid to put a noose around him in Chicago. And in 2 a.m. Chicago, yes, 2 black men yelled, "This is MAGA country." Again, Chicago, not MAGA country, being MAGA country. Kamala Harris looked at this and said, yep, back in this. I believe Jussie Smollett. So when Kamala Harris says she believes Tara Reade, she also believed Jussie Smollett. So take that with a grain of salt. Now let's go back. Okay. So we talked about her sort of overzealous persecution of Brett Kavanaugh with no evidence, right? This is why she's forced to sort of believe all these different Me Too things, because she believed Kavanaugh with absolutely no evidence provided. Zero. Just had a feeling. Went with it. Good for her. Feminine intuition, or whatever you want to call it. Now, the other problem is, there was the time that she was calling Joe Biden a racist for not backing public busing. Now, we'll just explain this one quickly, because it's actually like the most important thing in, I think, all of Western civilization is this debate over, charter schools, or how to desegregate schools effectively, or what we should really be doing with the education system. So the opposition to forced busing was a sort of libertarian Barry Goldwater one. And I kind of agree with it in the modern sense. Now, I will give caveats that in the 1960s, you can make the argument for forced integration because of the racial tensions at the time. All right. But there is a very legitimate point to be made with forced busing is, I firmly believe this, any kid, let's black or white, you can add brown or whatever, any kid of any color should be able to go to whatever school they want. That's what I believe. Any kid of any color and any background should be able to go to whatever public school they so desire. I believe that. That is illegal in Canada and in America, right? So what you have now is you have to go to the school within your district. So this is how schools sort of get resegregated. Now, what happened in the 60s is they would force different people to say, okay, these white kids are going to go to these black schools, these black kids are going to these white schools, and they forced them together. Now you can say it had to be done at the time, we can have that historical argument, but the validity of the counter-argument, which is, hey, we're not saying schools shouldn't be non-integrated. We should integrate the schools, just we should allow black kids to go to whatever school they want and allow white kids to go to whatever school they want, have it so public schools can't deny anyone of any race, and that's the way it should have been done. And that's actually the way it should be done now, because what happens now is in the wealthier, more liberal your neighborhood is in Canada and America, the more segregated your school system will be along racial lines. Why? Well, this is the new way that you can hyperinflate property prices or price poor people out of good neighborhoods, or make it harder for immigrants to get a head up here, because not all public schools are equal. We wish, inshallah, one day every public school will have all the best teachers teaching all the best things and everything will be totally equal. Okay, whatever. The problem is that's not how real life works. And you have schools that are good. right? And a good school, right? Let's say there's a school with a great gifted program, has a good funded music program, has gym, all the teachers there, are clean and they have good records. You want to send your kids there, right? That school, right, is in this district. So the district that school is in, the property value of all those houses will go up because they say the school that you're connected to is the best school in Toronto. Therefore, living in that area increases your property value. When you increase property value, you price poorer people out of the chance to go to that school because they need to live in the area. What if we were to do this? So this has negative consequences as well, because now you have really, really poor areas. This is where all the bad schools go. And then if there's a school in a poor area, let's say, you're a new mother, you're a small family, you got 4 kids, you're coming in from Somalia, you want the best for your kids, great. You're probably coming in from Somalia, you're probably not coming in a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, great. Most people, not millionaires. You come in, you live in low-income housing because you're coming to a country to build a new life. It's a great Canadian story. We're all down with it. Here's the problem. What school do you send your kids to? Your kids have to go to the school in your district. Now, you're an immigrant from Somalia. You got 4 kids. You love them. You want your kids to learn math and science and history and all that because you're a great parent. The problem is the school you have to send your kids to. The school you have to send your kids to. That school, what if 20 to 30% of the boys by the time they're in the 8th grade are in a gang? We have schools like that in Toronto. There's schools like that all across the United States. There are schools, and it's a real problem, where a good chunk of the kids end up in gangs as early as middle school. What chance does your immigrant child have in that school opposed to the school in the better area? So what I've been saying for a while, and this is the sort of ideological opposition to forced busing, and this is why I'm backing Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris on this, and Kamala Harris is being totally disingenuous. Another reason why Kamala Harris isn't qualified, she's just a sleazeball, disingenuous human being. But the problem is, this is what I'm saying, you have charter school problem, a public charter school problem. This is what I always said. Kids, it costs, let's say, $10,000 to $15,000 a year to educate each one of your kids. Say it's $10,000 for simplicity's sake. I say we give each parent a $10,000 voucher. You can send your kids to whatever school they want. So you might live in a poor neighborhood, and your kid might have to bus 45 minutes to school every day. And the rich kid might be able to walk 2 minutes to that school. Okay. But if you're a parent, isn't it worth it? I think most good parents would say, you know what? I'm willing to put my kids on a bus for 45 minutes in the morning, wake up earlier so that when they're in middle school, there's no gangs in their school, right? I don't want my son to have to end up in a gang or to be in a school where there's gangs, because I just don't want that for them, right? This is the charter school program. However, under Kamala Harris, it is racist if you want to give kids and parents the opportunity to choose where they want to be. And ironically, no one getting any choice, this has led to increased segregation. The more liberal an area gets, usually the standard of living goes up, it gets more expensive, right? You price the poor, the immigrant kids out of those schools, and then those schools end up with mostly upper middle class white kids. It's just the way it works. So that's Kamala Harris and Joe Biden 2020. We can sniff victory, or we can sniff Kamala, whatever their slogan is. It's basically, we're better than Trump. All right, moving on. Okay, our next story is feminism. Everyone knows I'm the most female feminist guy that ever was. I believe in Justin Trudeau's brand of feminism to the nth degree. So who's more feminist than our infrastructure minister, Catherine McKenna? Now, let's see what Catherine McKenna is doing here. So let's pull up this tweet where we break it down here. This is a great segue because Catherine McKenna decided to tweet out that Kamala Harris is the absolute perfect person and a great inspiration to women entering into politics. Now, the reason why I'm going to be picking on Catherine McKenna here is this segment of the show is how to be a Canadian Minister of Something 101. So as you can see, there she is backing Kamala Harris. Now, I don't care if Canadians back Kamala Harris. I do care if high-ranking members of the government back Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, okay? Canadian Politics 101. If you are the Prime Minister, if you are a minister, if you're even remotely related to the Canadian government, if you're a politician in Canada, and this goes for any ally, this goes for any country, this goes for everyone. If Germans, if you're listening and you're in politics, listen up. When there is a political race in a democratic country that you're allied with, okay, so in America has an election, it's between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and you're a Canadian politician, or you're a German politician, or you're a French politician, you're an allied politician, You do not back either side in those races because one of them is going to lose. And you have to then do business and work together with the winner. So when the Canadian infrastructure minister is cheering on the Democrats, that hurts our chances as a country if the Republicans win. This is why you shut up on these things. Now, I bring up Catherine McKenna because she is the most qualified, feminist, strong, independent, female feminizing person that ever was. Oh, she's an inspiration to me. She's inspiring you. She's inspiring everyone in the room. You're also inspired feminism to the nth degree. Now, I'm not sure you guys are going to believe this, but someone said something mean to Catherine McKenna. I know. It's horrible. She was called Climate Barbie, and I know what you're thinking. You're hurt. You're shocked. You're outraged. No one should be calling Catherine McKenna Climate Barbie. She's currently Infrastructure Barbie. She's in charge of infrastructure. Climate Barbie was so 2 years ago. This is Infrastructure Barbie you're talking about. Now, computer died, but I had a statement, and you can read it on Catherine McKenna's Twitter. Now, what happened? Catherine McKenna, Infrastructure Barbie, which term might be illegal soon, but who knows? Our Infrastructure Barbie is in charge of Canadian infrastructure. She currently has misplaced the plans and the funding of 20,000 different projects totaling $5 billion that's just gone missing. Whoopsie doodles. So Catherine McKenna just whoopsies, whoop, $5 billion. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where's the $5 billion? Oh, is that Islamic Relief? Okay, there it is. Really, this is the infrastructure minister. She lost $5 billion. Billion. 5 billion. She lost $5 billion. 20,000 projects she just has no record of. Don't worry, coronavirus infrastructure relief funding, whatever. 5 billion, just whoop. Now, I don't know how you feel about $5 billion disappearing. Listen, some of us are at the point in our lives where we're successful. We just, you can't keep track of all the billions of dollars you have, right? Sometimes you're just walking down the stairs, you're like, oh, where's my wallet? Oops, well, it had $5 billion in it, but I guess it will show up sometime. Some of us live in that $5 billion life. More power to you, okay? Now, I've been informed that the average Canadian thinks $5 billion is a lot of money. I know. So when Catherine McKenna misplaced it, some Canadians got angry with her, and they started to call her names, and they started to raise their voice and yell at her. And she was very, very disheartened. And we have the statement here where she says, oh my God, this is why it's so hard for women to get into politics. Yes, because every time a woman in politics misplaces $5 billion, people get angry because of sexism. That's why people are angry, Catherine. It's sexism. You're on the case. But then she says, the only proper thing is to alert the authorities. That's right. She actually wants people who call her Climate Barbie reported to the authorities. Now again, I do not want you to call Infrastructure Barbie Climate Barbie, okay? She's worked her way up the chain. She's put her work in. Her name is Infrastructure Barbie, okay? She's not Climate Barbie anymore, okay? That was 2018. This is Infrastructure Barbie McKenna, all right? Now, Infrastructure Barbie wants to make calling her Infrastructure Barbie illegal. Now, there are two ways to go about this, right? So you're being criticized because you lost $5 billion, as we do. Problem, you missed to lose it. Solution A, don't misplace $5 billion, come up with those 20,000 projects and show the Canadian people you're actually halfway competent at your job. Option B, get on Twitter and declare that anyone criticizing you or calling you mean names should be criminalized. Oh my God, this is why women can't get into politics. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm going to go over this again, because we have to make these points every time. But this is the type of feminism that isn't feminism, okay? Liberal feminism, women's rights to be equal, a cornerstone of Western civilization, cornerstone of liberalism in general. No qualms with we want equal rights, we should be able to vote, treat us equally. Sometimes there's some BS in the workplace women have to deal with. Great. Write a list, we'll talk about it. Now, there is another type of feminism, what I've recently termed woke corporate feminism. And I think Catherine McKenna is part of sort of woke corporate feminism, this sort of sloganeering. And woke corporate feminism, as I defined before, is basically the idea that everything women do good, everything man do bad, women better than man, unless man become woman, then man, trans woman better than man. You get the thing, right? But this is a type of like anti-feminist thought where it really doesn't, it's not about female empowerment. And one of the things I really like about, is Camille Pagula, who brought this point up, where she talked about the feminist movement in the 1960s is what was happening is women wanted to, in the colleges, they wanted curfew. Women were under curfew. They couldn't go out after 10 p.m. because it wasn't safe for them to go out after 10 p.m., but they fought to be allowed to, the boys didn't have curfew, they didn't want a curfew. And what she described that as is feminism was about the right to risk rape. Women have the right to go out and take the same risks in society that men do. Women are tough enough and they can handle society. They don't need to be mollycoddled and pampered every step of the way. They can independently look after themselves, and a woman's life should be in a woman's hands. I agree. Catherine McKenna teaches something opposite. The brand of feminism, which is woke corporate feminism, which Trudeau and Catherine McKenna, and woke corporate feminism is mostly the political class and the media. This is generally who absorbs this type of thing. And what her message is any sort of criticism of me, any sort of slurs hurled at me, this makes it harder for all women because women actually need to be protected. Right? It's the same patronizing mentality, right? Catherine McKenna isn't out there saying women can be politicians. Women, it doesn't matter what you call me. I'm tough and I'm strong and I'm qualified and I'm the infrastructure minister. I don't care what you have to say. You can call me names. I don't care. I'm the minister. I'm here to do work for Canadians and prove that women kick butt. Yay, right? You could do that. That would be cool. That is the exact opposite of Catherine McKenna's message. And we keep going with this. Every time Catherine McKenna gets criticized, she goes in it's because I'm a woman and life's so hard for women. We need to make life easier for the women here because women can't handle all the criticism like the men do. And that's not feminism. It's not. It's the exact opposite. That's Catherine McKennaism. That is exactly saying, okay, when we talked about what Catherine McKenna essentially wants to do is those curfews that universities put on women in the 1960s, she just wants those curfews put on everyone. So if Catherine McKenna was around the 1960s, when feminists were fighting for the right to be out there with the men, Catherine McKenna is the type of feminist who actually would fight for the right to have men curfewed with the women. And that's the type of feminism that Trudeau and the Liberal government are pushing forward. And it sucks. All right. So we actually are going to have time for this last story. It might have been because my laptop died and don't have the notes. But final story is, I agree with Linda Sarsour. And this tweet here. So as you can see, Linda Sarsour is talking about how great Ilhan Omar is, and she's a couple fascinating things. One, she says, yay, free Palestine, BDS, and money can't beat us. Okay, we can take down the tweet, but I find it interesting for a couple things here. One, we're going to talk about how Linda Sarsour, former head of the Women's March, the first thing she says when Ilhan Omar gets reelected is, yay to BDS. And I want to go over that afterwards. But there's another important thing, and I say this all the time, and this is really important for a Conservative Party to watch. So I know some Conservative Party members are literally paying their lawyers to watch this right now. Clip this part out and send it to everyone in the party, because I've been trying for years. And I say it all the time. Every time you talk to a Conservative politician, you have to physically shake them, and it still doesn't work. Every Conservative politician, almost every Conservative politician, 95% of them, are convinced, dead set convinced, with more religious conviction than the most devout Christian or Muslim you've ever met. Most Conservative politicians are convinced that this is the year 2006, and politics works exactly the same as it did in 2006, before Twitter and before Instagram, before Facebook, before all of that, right? Everyone in the Conservative Party is dead set, religiously convinced. You might say, I believe Jesus Christ is my Savior. I guarantee you do not believe in Jesus Christ like the Conservative Party believes that it's currently the year 2006. There is no stronger conviction on the planet. And I say this because they have such an antiquated view of how politics works, and they need to be listening to people like Linda Sarsour, who's actually right in modern politics here. Linda Sarsour and I agree here. What happened is Ilhan Omar, who was popular, and she would go on a thing is like, guys, we need equality for all, and the only reason we don't have equality is because of the Jews. Sorry, I mean racism. I mean the Jews. Sorry, Zionists, right? That's her whole shtick, right? America bad, Israel bad, Iran good. Whatever. Now, lots of people don't like Ilhan Omar, but a lot of people in the thing do. So how do you get Ilhan Omar out? There was a bunch of people who didn't like her and said, you know what? It's the year 2006. What wins elections? Oh, advertisements on TV. So let's put tens of millions of dollars into actual advertisements on TV. Let's not develop a personality. Let's not make the person into a human being that's going against her. Let's just have some really good ads. Let's run ads against Ilhan Omar on TV, and we'll have different lobby groups say like, you know, we're Democrats for free society, and we think that Ilhan Omar should be replaced by this lady. Whoop-de-doo. That doesn't work. That does not work. Now, I guarantee you, if there's a Conservative Party, I mean, if anyone in the Conservative Party is even watching this right now, they've fired a bunch of bullets into the TV screen or computer screen or whatever, because they do not want to hear this. Because like they are religiously convinced that the way they will win the election is by taking out the Stephen Harper playbook that was made in 2006 and applying those exact strategies. And part of those strategies are, we need to raise lots of money. And when we raise lots of money, we'll then use those money. One, we'll kick it back to ourselves. But then we'll raise lots of money and we'll have advertisements on TV. And it'll be like, hi, I'm Erin O'Toole, and I'm tough on China. Also, I take money from China, and I'm Erin O'Toole, and Justin Trudeau is bad, and I'm good, and here's a clip of me in black and white pointing. I guarantee you, that was the conversations going on in Andrew Scheer's campaign circle. We'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then Erin O'Toole's having the same things, and Peter MacKay's like, yeah, okay, yeah, what year is it? The year 2006 or 2007? Doesn't matter. Let's run TV ads, and we'll all be in black and white, and we'll be like, Peter MacKay says Justin Trudeau isn't serving Canada, and yeah, and we'll just run those ads, and then people will be convinced. It's not like politicians can circumvent that with an effective Twitter, Instagram, YouTube feed. Like, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't understand anything about economics or the country she's in, but she understands how to use Instagram, which is why she will always, always, always destroy a party-backed person coming against them. Always. Like conservative parties, and the Democrats too. I mean, the ultra-left progressives are getting this. But all politicians need to learn that it's not the year 2006. You can't just beat Ilhan Omar by, pouring a bunch of money into a district and running a bunch of ads. Which brings me to a secondary point off of this, which is the whole Russia collusion thing, the whole, it doesn't buy elections. It doesn't matter. This is why I'm okay with Canadians taking unlimited amount of donations from other Canadians. I don't think George Soros should be able to give, $1 billion to Erin O'Toole or Justin Trudeau's campaign. I don't think George Soros should be able to do that. However, Galen Weston is a Canadian. Yeah, sure, let him give $1 billion to Justin Trudeau. It won't matter. It actually doesn't matter. These aren't the things that people vote on anymore. How much less funding did Donald Trump have than Hillary Clinton? And he still won, right? It's not about how much money you can pull in again. Now, you talk to the conservatives. They are dead set convinced that fundraising numbers and this metric and trying not and focus groups and fundraising numbers and questionnaires and surveys. This is how you do politics. This is how it works. It's not how it works. So Ilhan Omar will keep winning that primary. Now, will she beat out the Republican? Probably. It's Minnesota. Okay, it's her district. I mean, the only places far left people get in is pretty far left districts. But it's important to know that Linda Sarsour is actually right here. And by the way, the left needs to stop complaining about, oh my God, people are throwing money into the political system and they're ruining the political system with their money and they're paying for ads. It doesn't affect people as much as it does. Yeah, you can bribe, listen, the price for a politician in Canada is $10,000. So yeah, there are other ways to bribe them. By putting money into political advertising and into the parties, that doesn't do anything. Again, if you want to buy politicians, just straight up bribe them or threaten them. They're all cowards anyways. That's how it's done. But in terms of affecting the public, money isn't that important. Now, I'm going to circle back to the Ilhan Omar thing here and kind of show the complete hypocrisy of all these people. All right, so yes, Linda Sarsour is right here. But Linda Sarsour is also talking about, yes, the reason why Ilhan Omar is great is she puts, free Palestine. Again, I don't have a problem with Palestinian human rights, except for when you advocate for the rights of all Palestinians to murder as many Jews as they want, in which case that's not a real right. But BDS, boycott, divest, sanctions. So the re-election of Ilhan Omar represents BDS to her closest friends. Linda Sarsour and Ilhan Omar are allies. They know each other, they've worked together, okay? Linda Sarsour looks at Ilhan Omar and says, yes, BDS. Now remember, Ilhan Omar campaigned openly, or the first time saying she was against BDS, right? Then she was pro-BDS. but also she's against sanctions on Iran because sanctioning Iran is cruel, but sanctioning Israel is not. So again, sanctions are cruel and they're hurtful, and you should never do them. They're basically murder, according to Ilhan Omar, except when they're on the world's only Jewish country. Then they're fine. So that was one of Ilhan Omar's scandals. So that's interesting just to point out. But I'm going to also point back to this sort of the basis of the anti-Semitic conspiracy that Ilhan Omar consistently pushes. You all remember why would Republicans support Israel? There was that tweet from Peter Barnard, and she came in and said, it's all about the Benjamins, baby, right? And then someone asked, well, I wonder who she thinks is promoting the Benjamins, and she says AIPAC, right? So AIPAC, which is an organization of Americans, mostly Jewish, pro-Israel Americans, them spending money on the American political system was somehow a bad thing, right? Now, Americans spending money on American politics, bad. Now, there's the other thing where it doesn't matter how much money AIPAC has to influence anything. Like, one, AIPAC's a pretty useless organization if you've ever been. Like, they're the type of Jewish organization that says, like, we're in the center of everything. Whoop-de-doo. If Ilhan Omar's sort of re-election proves anything, and it's true, right? It's that throwing millions of dollars to influence public discourse doesn't work these days. People have Facebook, people have Instagram, people have Twitter, people have me, people have whatever else is they do. Political dark money, why would I ever spend, one, I would never give my money to any of these candidates, but why would you ever spend $10 million on an advertising campaign when you have just Derek Sloan, Leslie Lewis, Peter McKay, Erin O'Toole? Start a YouTube, start Facebook, put videos up, connect to the people, be a human being, be an actual human being. Now, Erin O'Toole and Peter McKay are not actually human beings. They're political robots, but you get my point. This is what people want to see. Right? And however much money you can raise and the flashy advertising campaigns, they don't matter anymore. No one watches commercials. We all skip. Everyone streams TV. People have the internet. This doesn't matter. People will skip your YouTube ads. You actually need to connect with people on a human level. Just getting tens of millions of dollars from a bunch of, octogenarians who still think like you do that it's 2006 isn't going to do anything. It's not how politics work. It drives me crazy. Well, a lot of things drive me crazy, as we know. All right, so that's been this week's episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We do this every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We're live here. It's live on YouTube. Or it might not be live on, who knows? It's wherever this is you're watching it, click the button that you know you have to click to either like or subscribe or the bells or whatever it is. Click all the buttons. Every button just click every button you can find. Big red button, first one you click, okay? Always click the big red button. Subscribe, like, whatever, like the page, like the face, like my face, your face. Get a tattoo of my face onto your face, and then I'll see everyone next week.